Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we try to make sense of all those confusing corporate filings. Today we're diving into an amended report from Conifer Holdings. It's kind of like when you think you've aced a test, but then realize you missed a question twice. So Conifer had to file an amendment or correction to their annual report, not once but twice. It's like they filed, then filed again to fix the first filing. Before we start, if you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below. This is amendment number 2, meaning they already tried to fix something once. They're fixing their annual report for the year that ended in December of 2024. The reason for this second amendment, they needed to fix a mistake in a table showing who owns the company's stock. Specifically, there was an error in calculating the ownership percentage of the company's leaders. It's named executive officers and directors. These are the people in charge. It's important to get these numbers right because it tells everyone who really controls the company. Since they're making changes, the top boss and financial officer have to sign off on the updated report. This is part of the rules to make sure everyone is being honest. It's like saying, yes, this is correct to the best of my knowledge. Let's jump to the part that got them into trouble, that beneficial ownership table. This section is all about who owns what in the company. It's like looking at a map of who controls the territory. They have to tell us who the big shareholders are and who the company directors are. The numbers are based on how many shares were outstanding as of early April. So these are fairly recent numbers. Remember, the percentage of ownership is based on the total voting power, not just the number of shares someone holds. Okay, let's look at the ownership numbers. All the top executives and directors as a group own about 50.9% of the company. That's over half, so they collectively have a very strong say in what happens. Plus, they control all 1,500 shares of something called Series B preferred stock, and each of those shares has lots of voting power. In fact, those shares alone come with 2,043,000 very strong and 43. 44,45 shares of something called Series B preferred stock. And each of those shares has lots of voting power. In fact, those shares alone come with 2,400 shares of something called Series preferred stock. And each of those shares has lots of voting power. In fact, those shares alone come with 2,400 shares of something called Series 3 third stock. And each of those shares has lots of voting power. In fact, those shares alone come with 2,043 votes. Looking at individuals, Brian Roney owns about 4.0% of the company. He also has options to buy more shares, which would increase his ownership. Jeffrey Hikala owns a whopping 42.1%. That includes shares held through something called Clarkston Ventures. He also controls a big chunk of the voting power through those Series B preferred shares. And then there's James Petkoff, who owns about 23.5% of the company. To wrap things up, the report is signed by the Chief Executive Officer and Chief Financial Officer. This confirms they are taking responsibility for the accuracy of the information in the amended report. Also attached are certifications from the CEO and CFO about the accuracy of the report, ACSU. Now, what does all this mean? Well, it shows that Conifer Holdings had a small slip-up, a clerical error in their ownership reporting, but they fixed it twice. Even if it took them 2 tries, this kind of thing happens, but it's a good reminder to pay attention to who really owns and controls a company. It can tell you a lot about where the company is headed and who is making the decisions. So Conifer seems to be moving forward after correcting this clerical error. One risk to watch is that so much ownership is concentrated in the hands of a few people. This could make it harder for other shareholders to have a say. However, it also means those key people are highly invested in the company's success. Alright, that's our breakdown of Conifer's amended filing. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.